Mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we will answer your questions. This comes from our live edition of Seahawks Today, which we do each and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, where we answer your questions in real time. They come from Super Chats or using the hashtag Seahawks. And if you subscribe to the channel today, then you will be the first to know when we go live, so you can be a part of our award-winning mailbag. So if you love your Seahawks, if you want to be a part of our mailbags and all of our great content so you never miss an episode, subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Let's go ahead and get started. Taker610, he pops this cherry and sends us the first super chat of the mailbag today, saying, I don't see us passing on Stroud or Levis at 5. So let's take things a couple steps back for a second, where Taker is at on this. So you go back to Tuesday of this week. John Schneider, Pete Carroll spoke to the media, and both of them talked about how this Seahawks team was looking at the possibility of still drafting a quarterback with a high pick and keeping Geno Smith. And so with that said, now all of us are starting to think, okay, are they going to use that number 5 pick on a quarterback instead of a defensive player? My thought process is this is all a ploy by John Schneider and Pete Carroll to try to force somebody to trade into their spot and trade down and try to collect on draft capital. With that said, I like Bryce Young and I like C.J. Stroud. Will Levis is okay. I think Anthony Richardson is not that great. So I'd be okay with Young or Stroud. Beyond that, I'm not feeling too hot, to be honest. It's Henry, all right? How much would you re-sign Bobby Wagner for? It's a great question. I'll put it this way. I'm not trying to give you a cop-out answer here, but let's see what the market does first. Where is the market going to go? Let me put it this way. I don't want to sign Bobby Wagner when free agency begins on day one and set the market for everything else. Ideally, you would like to see where the market goes, if you can sign him for less or if things are too high, whatever it may be. So let's see what the market looks like. Still too early to put a number on at this point. Seahawks fan 69. Nice, right? Will the Seahawks draft a quarterback? Let me put it this way, Seahawks fan, super Seahawks fan 69. I am of the belief, the Bill Belichick mindset that producer Rolly, I'm sure, just loves, that every draft you should take a quarterback at some point. That might be round 7, that might be round 1, okay? And so if I'm the Seahawks at some point in the draft, yeah, I would take a quarterback at some point in time. At the very least, kind of like what John Schneider talked about this week. They don't grow on trees. Get them in your system. They might turn into a trade piece later. You might need them to be a backup and be ready to go to fill in for a game or something, whatever it may be. I don't think the Seahawks are using a high pick on a quarterback, but I do think that the Seahawks at some point in this draft will still get a quarterback. They got, 9, 10 picks? I mean, they'd be silly not to at least go get a quarterback at some point. So, yes, I do think they will, but will it be a high-round guy or will it be a low-round guy? That remains to be seen. Sound off in the comment section for me. Should the Seahawks draft a quarterback in the first round, whether it's at 5 or 20, if they make a trade, whatever it may be? Should they use a first-round pick on a quarterback that you're putting your franchise's future on? Let us know in the comment section. It's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Type Y for yes, type in for no if the Seahawks should draft a QB in the first round or not. Nick with a $5 super chat writes in, call me crazy. I like Anthony Richardson more than Will Levis and wouldn't mind taking him at 5. Upside is Josh Allen. His downside is Tim Tebow. Anthony Richardson's a lot faster than Tim Tebow is. He's probably faster than Josh Allen, too. I've heard that take, actually. Some people think he does have more upside than Will Levis, potentially. I just can't get over the accuracy thing of throwing less than 54%. To me, I can't get that over. A guy like Josh Allen, his completion percentage was less than 59% But remember, he was at Wyoming. Anthony Richardson was playing in the SEC, playing for Florida, and struggled passing the football. That I can't get over potentially. I like Levis more, but I can't say I'm really a big fan of either guy at this point. Thanks for the super chat, Nick. That Fat Rat writes, #Seahawks, #Live Laugh Jones. Is that like Live Laugh Love? Okay, that's a new one. Trade Shelby Harris, 83rd pick this year, and a 2024 second for Daron Payne. The Commanders, the Commies, they put the franchise tag on Daron Payne this week. I don't think they are tagging him with the idea of trading him. I think they're going to try to work out a new deal for Daron Payne. So I see where you're going with that, Fat Rat. That's not a bad idea. Daron Payne would do a lot for this Seahawks team. But I think the Commies are trying to do everything they can to hang on to Daron Payne at this point. Matthew writes in, keep that 5 pick, trade the 20th for a first rounder next year, and a pick this year. That's a possibility. I am all ears on trying to gain a pick for next year because I like Caleb Williams and I like Drake May. And if you can get one of those guys, I think they're both better than any quarterback in this year's draft. And if you can position yourselves to have multiple picks for next year, to make that move up, to make that trade to get one of those guys, I understand that. To me, I'm all ears for that possibility. Let's see. Matthew, you might be onto something there. Tyson writes, how much trade value is Locke and Adams worth? Drew Locke? None. Zero. None. No one's trading for Drew Locke. You kidding me? No. In fact, he's actually a free agent on top of that, too. So, really, the answer absolutely is none when it comes to Drew Locke. As far as Jamal Adams goes, he's a big contract, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He's coming off an injury. Not much for Jamal Adams either. I mean, I guess the thing with Jamal Adams is that it would be nice to have him off the books and someone else take his salary, but you're not going to get much in return. So, Tyson, I see where you're going at, but, I mean, I don't mean to give you a bad answer, but it's not good. Put it that way. Seahawks for Life writes in, how is Jordyn Brooks' rehab going? So we got an update on this actually this week. And I got to tell you, from what we've heard, it's not good. Not great, Bob. It's going pretty slow for this rehab. And you look at the Seahawks, remember the linebacker position is already pretty weak, right? And so Jordyn Brooks, who is your best linebacker by far, even though the nerds at Pro Football Focus hate Jordyn Brooks for whatever reason, God knows. Even with that, and he was like second in the league in tackles when he got hurt. I thought he was having a good year. With that said, you need, even if Pro Football Focus doesn't like Jordyn Brooks, you got to have Jordyn Brooks back. And Jordyn Brooks is looking like it's still very iffy if he's going to be back in time or when he'll play at some point next year. There is a long road left. And so I think the Seahawks have to evaluate their options to see what they can do for the linebacker position, not only to find a running mate for Jordyn Brooks, but also potentially play with the mindset of, are we even going to have Jordyn Brooks at all? It doesn't look good. Name a player the Seahawks should sign, whether it's for that running back, that linebacker position, or something else. Tell me in the comments section. Let me know what you think the Seahawks should do. Who is somebody they should sign? Tell me in the comments section below. Beast Mode writes, I will still take Carter at 5, even with the stuff going on. What do you think? So I'm going to put on my journalist hat here for a second, and I'm going to tell you this, that it's still way too early in the process, that, at the time of this taping, it's Wednesday, and we just don't have a whole lot of information at this point in time. We got to wait and see where this goes from here. So I can't say one way or the other. I think that's how a lot of teams feel right now, too, and just kind of wait and see how this all plays out at this point in time. Jalen Carter, no question, is a very talented football player. He's worthy of top 5 pick based on talent, but let's see how this all plays itself out at this point. So still too early as far as that goes. Isaac writes in, who would like the Seahawks to draft this year? I think you mean who would you like the Seahawks to draft this year? Isaac, glad you asked. That number 5 selection. Let's say that everything's fine on the Jalen Carter front, okay? That he has that all worked out, whatever it may be. I think your draft board is Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, and then I'm looking at quarterback-wise. I like Bryce Young. I like C.J. Stroud. Then you go to Tyree Wilson, and that's kind of your top 5, okay? The 20th pick, I'm looking at Brian Bresee is a possible option from Clemson, Osiris Torrance, the offensive guard from Florida. Those are just some of the names out there as far as that pick goes, Isaac, who I'm looking for the Seahawks potentially draft. We'll see what they do, and can't rule out the possibility of trading 5 or 20. 5, potentially you move down. You'd like to stay in the top 10, get a pick for next year. The 20 pick, maybe it's a guy like Josh Allen. Not the quarterback Josh Allen for the 1,000th time, like I went over with you last week, for goodness sake. The pass rusher from the Jags, who's very good. So we'll see. Last one from Dat Fat Rat, getting crazy with the hashtags today. Hashtag Seahawks, hashtag Jones is love, Jones is life. Okay. Trade the 5th pick and some late-round picks to the Panthers for Brian Burns and maybe the 9th pick. I don't think that the Seahawks are going to give you, or the Panthers are going to give you Brian Burns and the 9th pick. Brian Burns, they had plenty of good offers in the trade deadline. They said, no, that's our guy. I see what you mean, Dat Fat Rat. Brian Burns, terrific football player. Seahawks would be lucky to have him, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. What is the Seahawks' biggest need this offseason? We talked about the linebacker position. Defensive line obviously comes to mind. Still need some help on the interior of the offensive line. What is it? Tell me in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.